True tall tales, adventure never fails. So one day I was in my room and I was finishing the comic book, and it was Saturday afternoon, and I just finished the comic book and I looked outside, and it was bright sunny day. It was beautiful weather, just clear skies, and I said, you know what, let's go outside. I'm gonna go outside. I need some fresh air. I need to stretch my limbs. I need a little bit of that outdooriness, you know. So I go outside and I'm walking down the street. I'm just kind of looking around. I'm smelling the air, and it smells so good. Just taking big breaths of fresh air. And I hear chirp, 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 chirp. And I look over and I see off to the side there's this big pile of junk, bunch of garbage, and there's this bird, and he's kind of like pecking through, going through the garbage and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. He's probably looking for something to build his nest or something like that. And I'm just kind of watching him as I walk by. And then I see him, and he kind of ducks down in the garbage. And I see a bunch of rustling, and a bunch of the garbage kind of move. And then I go, oh, I wonder what he found. Maybe like a twig or something like that, or maybe, a piece of straw or something like that. He found something in there to build his nest. And then he pops up, and he's got a full vacuum cleaner hanging out of his mouth, like a big vacuum cleaner. And then he just takes off flying. And I'm just standing there shocked. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a bird pick up a whole vacuum cleaner or anything really bigger than, something small. So I say, obviously, I gotta see what this bird's doing. So I take off after it, and I'm running through the woods, and I can see it above me. It's flying. It's got that big old vacuum cleaner. And I'm running, and then I see him. He dips down, and I kind of lose him just over the trees. So I'm going, and I'm looking around, and then I lost sight of him. And then I'm standing there, I'm listening, and I hear chirp, chirp, chirp. And I'm like, oh, hey, there, he's just right over there. And I hear chirp, chirp, chirp. So I'm just kind of following the sound of his little chirps. And then I hear like this really loud sound going on. I was like, what is that? Is there a construction going on out here? What's happening? So I go out, and then I can see him. I finally get to the place where he is, and I see him, and there's the bird, and he's got all this junk everywhere, and he's building what looks like a big rocket ship. And I'm just standing there flabbergasted. I didn't know that birds could build rocket ships. I mean, they can already fly, so what do they need? What do they need a rocket ship for? So I come out of the clearing, and I kind of see him. I say, excuse me, like, Mr. Bird. And the bird looks up at me, very intense-like, and he doesn't expect me to be there. And then he just goes right back to working, like as if I'm not even there. Like, I didn't just see this bird building a rocket ship. And so I walk up closer to him. Excuse me, Mr. Bird. And he looks at me, and he says, what do you want? And I said, well, I'm just kind of curious. Is this what I think it is? He goes, of course it is. It's a rocket ship. What does it look like? What else could it look like? And I said, oh, okay, I didn't know that birds could build rocket ships. And he says, well, of course we can. What do you think? We're just dumb little birds that just fly around? We're very intellectual, highly intellectual. I went to college. I've got my masters and my PhDs. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even know that there were bird colleges. He says, of course there's bird colleges. Why wouldn't there be bird colleges? And I'm sorry, my bad. I said, so what's the rocket ship for? I mean, you can already fly, right? He says, well, of course I can already fly, but I want to go higher. I want to go into space. I want to go explore the cosmos. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. And how close are you to finishing the rocket ship? And he looks at me for a second, and then he turns back towards the rocket ship and plugs a wire in, and then he says, and I'm done. And I said, wow, just like that? He said, well, I didn't just build it. I've been working on this for months and months and months. I said, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. You got me there. And I said, so what, you're just going to go into space? And he said, of course. And he said, this could be a two-man project, and if you would like to come with me, we can go up to space. We can see what's up there. I'll come back. I'll drop you off. And I said, wow, that sounds great. That sounds fantastic. I would love to go to space. I've never been to space before. So he says, great, it's a deal then, let's go. So he gives me this little helmet. It's just a fishbowl. But I didn't tell him that. So I put the fishbowl on my head, And I climb up in the rocket ship and I get in the seat. And I say, okay, so what do you need me to do? And he says, right there. See that lever over there to your left? And I said, yeah, I see that. And he says, and see the lever to your right? And I said, yes. And he says, okay, first you're gonna pull the left lever and then the right lever when I say so. And I said, wow, that sounds pretty easy. I was like, that's as complicated as this rocket ship gets, just 2 levers? He said, of course not. He's like, I've got all the technical work. I've got all the hard things to do. I've got to press this button and that button over there. And also there's another button over there. And I said, okay, I get it. I understand. Complicated. So he starts pushing some buttons. Boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop. And then he says, left lever. So I pull the left lever, and all of a sudden, the rocket ship just starts shaking. And then he's pushing more buttons. Beep, boop, 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 boop. And he goes, right lever. And then I pull the right lever, and then the rocket ship starts shaking even more. And then all of a sudden, we just blast off into space. We just take off. And we just start going through the air. And I can look out the window, and I can see my house, and I say, hey, I see my house. And we're flying up and up and up, and all of a sudden we get to the atmosphere, and then all of a sudden we're in space. And I just start floating. I'm just floating there. I said, look at this. We're in space. This is pretty fantastic. I think I like this a lot. I think I could do that. I think I could live in space, People are trying to live in space. I think I could live in space. It sounds pretty fantastic. So, he's saying, we did it! The rocket ship, it works! And I'm just looking down at Earth, this blue little marble, just floating through space, and I go, wow, this is just absolutely incredible. Just everything about this, so cool. And then all of a sudden, there's a little beep. Beep, beep, beep. And I said, oh, what's that beep? And he says, it's not good. And I said, what do you mean it's not good? I said, I don't know how else to explain this. It's the opposite of good. It's not good. And I said, okay, so what does that mean? And he says, well, we're running out of air. And I said, what do you mean we're running out of air? What happened? He says, well, one of the parts from that machine that I just picked up. And I said, you mean the vacuum machine? And he said, yeah, sure, whatever it's called. The human sucky machine. It must not be good. I said, oh no, so what does that mean? And he says, well, we gotta get back to Earth, of course. I said, okay, so let's go back. And then there's this look on his face. And he looks kind of sullen. And I said, what's wrong? And he says, well, I guess I didn't think of the part where I have to land the spaceship. I said, what do you mean? Weren't you expecting to go back to Earth? You said you would drop me off. And he says, yeah, I might have skipped a class in bird college. And I said, what? Are you kidding me? So what do? We just fall? We just fall down back to Earth? I said, it'll be fine. It's fine. So he pushes some buttons. Beep, boop, boop, boop. And then he says, push the right lever up. So then I hesitantly push the right lever up, and then he pushes some more buttons. Beep, boop, boop, boop. And he says, push the left lever up. So I push the left lever up, and then all of a sudden we start descending. We're going faster and faster and faster and faster. And we're like falling down, 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 down. And all of a sudden we're getting closer and closer to Earth. And I can start making out houses and roads and trees and stuff like that. And I said, okay, now what do we do? And then he says, jump! And he pops the hatch, and he just leaps out. And now I'm stuck in this falling spaceship. I said, what do you mean jump? What do you mean jump? I can't jump. I can't. Well, I don't know. And so I just leapt. I just jumped out, and I'm just falling. I'm going, ah! And the Earth is getting closer and closer and closer. And then all of a sudden, I feel these 2 little claws on my shirt. And then all of a sudden, thump, I get pulled up. And now I'm just floating. And I look up, and the bird's carrying me. I said, oh my gosh, you can carry me? And he says, of course, didn't you see me with the vacuum cleaner earlier? I can carry a lot of heavy stuff. He said, I also go to the bird gym. I'm real strong-like. And I said, okay, that's weird. I didn't know they had bird gyms, but I guess bird colleges, bird gyms, that's fine. So we just slowly, we go back down, and then he drops me off, and he says, well, I'm going to start working on another one. If you want to come back, you can help me with it. And I said, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm done with space. It was fun, but maybe space isn't for me. I'll leave space to the birds.